Have you ever heard people say the system is rigged to keep people down, especially of a certain class? It's the same thing in our local communities and groups in society. The best thing I could have done for myself within the past year was looking inward, which was becoming almost like stagnant at that point because I was just soaking up so much information. I got rid of Instagram. I got rid of Facebook. And let me tell you why. I wanted to focus and find my community, my people, my tribe, whoever was going to hear me with the intent of understanding me or listening to me to understand. At my big old age of 35, the biggest thing that I have come to realize is that most people are not your friends. They're not your people. Most people are not kind. And the vast majority of everyone is not self-aware. So what does that tell me? There is such an abundance and lack of emotional intelligence that society is now conjoining in the masses. Normalize power plays by people that want power but lack the awareness to capitalize off of that power. Most people do not have the ability to take in feedback. Most people are not open to feedback. Most people do not understand feedback. Being a member of 3 different teams in the past 5 years, traveling to other gyms to participate, I have learned that people do not care to give feedback past the surface level, which is teaching the martial art. And I find that so interesting. All of us are here because we are absolutely traumatized in some way, shape, or form. I don't care if you are, lumberyard Jack or if you're nerdy Ned. You are here for a reason. And no one is having these conversations. In fact, nobody gives people the feedback that they need in order to fix themselves. Let me put it to you this way. You can't fix a clock you don't know is broken. And that's what I can't stand about the fight community. The one that I've been a part of and exposed to for the past 5 years at least. Everything is so surface level. And yet behind the scenes, psychological warfare, which is much deeper, right? That's common. All of us are so disconnected from being able to turn to our peer and say, hey, I've experienced you in this light. And, it's just feedback, but that's my experience. Do with it what you will. And I'll say this, playing devil's advocate. Perhaps people don't do that because if they do, the person on the receiving end is incapable of receiving it. If they do, they're a know-it-all. They're completely discarded, invalidated. That's been my experience. People will talk about you. The amount of people that have talked about me and the people that have come to me and talked to me, it's not comparable. It's not, there's not even a stark contrast. It's just it's not there. Most people cannot handle being called out. Most people take things too personally. And instead of listening to understand, listening to absorb that feedback, take it, and produce something else with it, they insist on denying people their truth. That is the grimiest, shittiest, most disgusting, densely wrong thing that anybody could ever do. And mostly everybody does it. I have been in therapy for going on 6 years now. And what I have learned is that all of us harbor narcissistic traits, narcissistic tendencies. And that's where the spectrum is. So all of us have the quality, the capability to have narcissistic traits in us. And in fact, all of us do. Narcissistic tendencies, narcissistic traits that we pick up. When are you willing to stop listening and cut someone off for the sake of your narrative? When are you willing to cut off someone's truth to feed yours? This is an important one. Just how easy are you willing to support someone pushing their narrative, involving someone else without asking a single question? That's narcissism. Okay, you cannot deny anybody their experience. It is not a privilege to have an experience. It's a right. And if somebody experiences something or someone or groups or areas, ambiances, whatever, in a certain way, that is the way that they experienced it. And what I've noticed is that when people don't like what people have to say about other people, they just tune them off. Nope, you're wrong. No, they're not incorrect. It did come from somewhere and they did experience it. And that's what we have to take a look at. We have to try to listen to understand, where is this coming from? And I'll play devil's advocate. In order to do so, people that have certain experiences especially if they're negative ones or anything really. They should be negative ones, positive ones, helpful ones, critiquing ones, you know, happy ones, sad ones. You should share your experience. If it lingers in your mind for more than, let's say, like 2-3 days, you should probably share that experience. What I've come to learn in the fight community is that you go to these spaces, there is an upper echelon setup, okay? There is the compliant rest of the group. And then you have your outcasts, you know, whether they're bad or they're good, they're outcasted, right? Power plays, okay? You have mentors, you have coaches, you have great coaches, you have toxic coaches, you have compliant coaches, you have the antiquated, outdated coaches, you have basically every type of coach that it could possibly be, you have in these spaces. It's just little mini forms of society, right? In these spaces, why is emotional and psychological well-being not prioritized as well? None of these groups talk about or exercise what it means to go through psychological warfare or to have psychological warfare imposed upon you by groups in the masses, mob mentality. And it's a very real thing. And I'm just confused. Like, why is nobody talking about this? Because none of us go to these spaces and play punchy face with our friends because we grew up perfectly normal. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I've always had more problems than a math book. What I've found in these past, going on 5 years of training martial arts, past 5 years of training Muay Thai, training boxing, competing in Muay Thai, competing in kickboxing finally, what I've found is that none of us are having the conversations that we are entitled to have and supposed to be comfortable enough to have. And if we do, we run the risk of being blacklisted, being pushed out, being bullied, being ostracized, or being targeted because we share these experiences. And again, an experience is not a privilege, it's a right. Someone has such a negative experience, and I've been to 3 gyms in these past 5 years, and I have learned to just pick up and go. I do not settle. I do not settle for toxic spaces. And it's the best thing I could have ever done. Nobody has to settle. You can always just go a different route. And that's what I encourage you to do if you are a part of a social group or a part of just a group at all, and that group is not serving you. Do not stay. Pick up and go. You are not meant to be there. And that's okay. That's okay. You do not have to tolerate these spaces. And you're better off because these people, they don't like you anyways. Just leave and find your own. If you are someone that is thriving in your gym, in your community, which is great, ask yourself what you're doing to support everyone in equality. Ask yourself how it is that you are showing up in your space, in your community. If you have been through significant trauma in your life and you find yourself in these spaces or want to find yourself in these spaces or in any space that it is that is going to heal that part of you, I'm looking for you. The people that have been self-destructive throughout their lives and have managed to avoid being on the Machiavellian spectrum of things, I'm looking for you. Find me.